catastrophic outbreak has wiped out 90% of humanity, turning the world into a lawless hunting ground for bloodthirsty zombies. As the last traces of civilization vanish, the entire planet has become a massive graveyard where the dead don't stay buried, they hunt. Every evening before darkness falls, a man named Robert Neville pours gasoline around his house, creating a scent barrier. As soon as he returns home, he carefully washes his German shepherd named Sam. When Neville sees the sun approaching the horizon, he immediately installs heavy steel plates over every window and door. But even in complete darkness inside his home, he doesn't feel safe. He places a loaded rifle across his chest, sits against the doorway with Sam pressed against him, and finally relaxes. This extreme security exists because once night arrives, the outside world no longer belongs to humans. Packs of horrific zombie-like creatures roam the streets, creating terror. 3 years ago, in 2009, a genetically modified virus designed to cure cancer mutated catastrophically. The virus killed 90% of all humans, while 9% transformed into light-sensitive predators. These creatures fear sunlight and only emerge after dark, but their sense of smell is extraordinarily powerful. Robert Neville survived because he's among less than 1% of humanity with natural immunity. His antibodies destroyed the virus before it could take hold. It's now 2012 and Neville has been alone for 3 years. He drives his Ford Mustang at high speed through the deserted streets of New York City, chasing a deer that somehow survived in the urban jungle. In this world where he believes he's completely alone, food has become the most critical need. But just as he's about to shoot the deer, a lioness suddenly appears and attacks his prey. Seeing his meal stolen, Neville considers shooting the lioness. But then a male lion emerges from nearby ruins with cubs following. Seeing this family reminds Neville of his own dead wife and daughter. He lowers his weapon because he knows these lions represent nature's balance trying to survive. Before searching for other survivors each day, Neville descends to his underground laboratory and medical facility. He checks whether the infected rats he's treating have shown improvement. So far, he sees no difference in their behavior, which disappoints him. Neville is actually a brilliant military virologist who developed his career studying infectious diseases. He created an experimental gene therapy based on the original virus structure, hoping to reverse its effects. When he thought today would bring another failure, he noticed something unexpected. One infected rat no longer attacked the healthy rats in the adjacent cage. This observation gave Neville hope that the creature was slowly regaining normal brain function. If this experimental treatment successfully cures rats, then theoretically it could transform those creatures back into humans. Every morning at exactly 8, Neville leaves his fortified home searching for supplies and survivors. He drives to the same video rental store every day, rearranges the mannequin's position there, and speaks to them like old friends asking about their day. Watching this behavior, nobody could imagine the crushing loneliness of someone forced to create conversations with plastic figures. Neville marks every location he's searched on a large map and collects canned food plus essential supplies at those places. Every afternoon at noon, he broadcasts the same message on every radio frequency. He announces his location and immunity status, desperately hoping another survivor will respond. For 3 years, nobody has ever answered, but Neville continues broadcasting, refusing to abandon hope. To reduce his isolation, Neville visits the aircraft carrier docked at the pier where he plays golf on the flight deck. During one of these sessions, Sam suddenly alerts on something in the distance. Neville immediately grabs his rifle and uses the scope to investigate. He spots a deer moving through the ruins and decides to hunt it. He takes Sam and pursues the animal through abandoned streets. But then disaster strikes when the panicked deer runs into a dark building trying to escape. Sam hasn't tasted fresh meat in months, so she chases the deer inside without hesitation. Neville screams at Sam to stop, but she ignores his commands. He stands outside the building, terrified because he knows what lives in darkness. Neville forces himself to enter the building to save his dog. It's pitch black inside and he can barely see anything. His heart pounds as he climbs the stairs, following sounds of movement. Suddenly, he hears a terrible scream that makes him fear the worst. Following bloodstains on the steps, he discovers a severed animal head at a corner. The relief is temporary when he realizes it's the deer, not Sam. But the terror frozen on the dead deer's face is unmistakable. Neville raises his rifle and scans the darkness carefully. Then he sees something that stops his heart. A pack of infected creatures stands less than 15 feet away from him, motionless in the shadows. Neville desperately searches for Sam and finally finds his German shepherd hiding under a table, looking absolutely terrified. As he's about to call her name, Sam's eyes lock onto something directly behind him. Neville feels immediate danger and spins around. Dozens of infected creatures fill the hallway, staring at him with pale, dead eyes. Neville grabs Sam and runs toward the exit as fast as possible. The creatures don't chase him because sunlight streams through windows. Neville leaps through a window into bright sunlight just as one creature reaches for him. The sunlight instantly burns the creature's exposed skin, forcing it to retreat. Back home, Neville realizes he can use the creature's hunting behavior against them. He sets up a trap outside using a cargo net suspended above the street. He takes a vial of his own blood and places it near the building entrance as bait. Then he hides nearby with his rifle ready. Within 3 minutes, an infected creature gets caught in the net. As the net activates and lifts the struggling creature into sunlight, Neville hears an enraged roar. A massive male creature appears in the building's dark doorway, staring at Neville with pure hatred. This creature seems different from the others, showing clear intelligence and fury. Neville doesn't understand why this particular creature is so angry at him. What he doesn't realize is he just captured the creature's mate, and this will start a war. After bringing the female creature home, Neville begins testing his experimental serum on her. He has no idea that the male creature is actually the alpha leader of the entire hive. The capture has made the alpha determined to rescue his mate and destroy Neville. The next morning, Neville drives through the city and notices something impossible. One of the mannequins from the video store has moved to a completely different location, several blocks away. The female mannequin he calls Fred now stands in the middle of an intersection, staring at him. Neville stares at the mannequin in shock because he distinctly remembers leaving Fred inside the video store. He pulls out his pistol and approaches carefully, thinking another survivor moved the mannequin to signal him. Neville circles the mannequin, calling out for anyone nearby, but sees nobody around. He doesn't realize this is actually an elaborate trap. The alpha creature studied Neville's routine for weeks and learned about his emotional attachment to the mannequins. The alpha moved Fred knowing Neville would investigate. As Neville bends down to examine fresh tire tracks beneath the mannequin, a hidden snare trap activates. Neville gets yanked violently into the air by his ankle and hangs upside down. He hits his head hard on the pavement and loses consciousness immediately. When he wakes hours later, his alarm watch is beeping frantically, warning him the sun is setting. Neville has only minutes before darkness arrives and the creatures emerge. He pulls a knife from his belt and desperately saws at the rope holding him. He finally cuts through and falls hard to the ground. The knife stabs into his leg, causing severe pain, but he has bigger problems. The last rays of sunlight are disappearing rapidly. Neville hears terrifying sounds coming from the dark building across the street. The alpha creature appears in the doorway and releases 3 infected dogs that were once German shepherds like Sam. The alpha can't enter the sunlight, but his hunting dogs can handle brief exposure. As the final sunlight fades, the infected dogs sprint toward Neville at full speed. Neville's life depends entirely on reaching his car before the dogs tear him apart. His only companion Sam runs alongside him, ready to fight. Sam is more than just a pet. She's Neville's reason for surviving these 3 years of isolation. Neville reaches the car, but the dogs attack before he can get inside. Sam leaps at the lead dog, protecting Neville from its snapping jaws. Neville shoots 2 dogs, but the third one bites Sam during the fight. This breaks Neville's heart because while he has immunity, Sam doesn't. Back home, Neville immediately injected Sam with an experimental antiviral treatment. He holds her in his lap, desperately hoping she'll survive, but Sam's fur starts falling out in clumps. Neville lifts Sam's eyelids and sees the infection spreading through her eyes. Her gums turn black and her breathing becomes labored. Reality forces Neville to make an unbearable decision. He wraps his hands around Sam's neck and strangles the only living thing he loved. The creature that accompanied him through countless dark, lonely nights is gone. Neville is completely shattered, but he also realizes something disturbing. The infected creatures normally act on pure instinct without complex planning. So how did they set an elaborate trap using the mannequin like thinking humans would? That night, Neville's grief overwhelms his survival instincts. He drives directly to the port where infected creatures gather and starts ramming them with his car. The creatures can't hurt him while he's inside the vehicle, but they swarm around it. Several creatures climb a lamp post and topple it onto Neville's car, flipping the vehicle. The car traps Neville inside and creatures surround it, breaking the windows. Neville tries to escape, but more creatures arrive, blocking every exit. The alpha creature orders a coordinated attack, showing clear intelligence. Just as creatures reach through the broken window, bright headlights appear. Someone crashes into the creatures, scattering them. Neville sees a figure approaching through the lights before he passes out from his injuries. When he wakes up, he's back in his home with his leg bandaged. A woman named Anna stands nearby with a young boy named Ethan. Neville hasn't seen another living human in 3 years. He struggles to remember how normal human conversation works. Anna introduces herself, explaining she heard his radio broadcast. She came to New York with Ethan and waited all day, but Neville never arrived at the meeting point. Anna says she's heading to a survivors colony in Vermont where other immune humans have gathered. Neville gets angry, insisting there are no safe colonies because all of America is destroyed. Anna tries to argue, but Neville yells at her. He's convinced he's the last person alive, and this belief created enormous mental pressure. Neville dedicated his entire existence to science and finding a cure. His whole life focused on this single goal, but Anna's arrival changes everything. She's living proof that other survivors exist somewhere. Neville processes this information alone in his room for a long time. When he emerges, Anna invites him to come to Vermont, but Neville refuses. Anna goes down to Neville's laboratory and sees the female creature strapped to the examination table. She can't believe Neville might actually cure these monsters. Anna notices hundreds of Polaroid photos covering the wall, showing every infected creature Neville used in his experiments. As the sun sets, Neville immediately seals all the windows and doors with steel barriers. Anna again tries convincing Neville to leave, but before he can answer, they hear sounds outside. Neville opens a small observation window and sees hundreds of creatures moving toward his house in an organized formation. Neville can't believe what he's seeing because he always masked his scent. Anna admits she didn't take precautions yesterday when rescuing him, which led the creatures here. Now there's no time for blame. Neville activates bright floodlights surrounding his property, but the creatures behave unexpectedly this time. Instead of retreating from light, they systematically destroy every light source and continue advancing. Neville activates his secondary defense system, detonating mines planted around the perimeter. The explosions kill dozens of creatures, but when the smoke clears, Neville realizes even more are coming. He calls for Anna but gets no response. Neville rushes upstairs and finds a creature attacking Anna. The creature grabs Neville and throws him across the room. Neville pretends to be unconscious, and when the creature turns away, he grabs his rifle. But the creature anticipates this and dodges behind a wall. Neville shoots a gas cylinder, causing an explosion that blasts the creature through a window. Neville finds Anna and Ethan hiding under furniture while another creature searches the room. He signals them to stay silent and prepares to shoot, but the creature sees him. Neville fires repeatedly, driving the creature back. Then he hears the alpha creature roaring outside. The alpha went to gather reinforcements and now leads a coordinated assault. The three humans run to the laboratory in the basement. Neville seals the main entrance and hides Anna and Ethan in a safe room. Then Neville sees something miraculous. The experimental serum worked and the female creature is reverting to human form. But creatures are breaking through the door, and the alpha creature is coming for his mate. Neville realizes the creatures see him as the monster because he kidnapped their people for experiments. As the alpha creature smashes through the reinforced glass, Neville notices a butterfly tattoo on Anna's neck. This symbol makes him understand everything about faith and sacrifice. Neville draws a vial of blood from the cured female creature because her blood now contains the cure. He gives the serum to Anna and shows her a hidden escape tunnel. Neville closes the door, sealing himself inside just as the alpha breaks through. Neville pulls a grenade pin and runs directly at the creatures, destroying his research and himself, but ensuring the cure survives. Anna and Ethan reach the survivors' colony in Vermont where hundreds of immune humans have rebuilt society. Anna delivers the cure that will save humanity and tells everyone about the scientist who sacrificed everything so others could live. If you're still watching, this means you survived the full story. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.